They somehow found a way to make the situation that Bell and company were in even worse than what they were dealing with. You end last week with our boy's neck getting snapped, yes, saved because of the scarf, but I mean, not having your head cut off or having your neck snapped, I mean, yes, one's better than the other, but you can't really say you're going on a picnic either. So you have one arm, neck snapped. Yes, mermaid blood can save him, which I honestly forgot about just because it wasn't honestly on my mind given the excitement. But even if my boy gets back up, because, you know, he's the main character, he's coming back, it doesn't really change the fact that it's a pretty hopeless situation. Firebolt's not gonna work. I didn't even think about the way he could power up his dagger sort of a thing. But still, it seemed like a rather hopeless situation that probably dying in that moment would be the most peaceful outcome, because how the hell are you gonna defeat this creature? This red eyes black dragon looking mofo. Honestly, when he was coming back, I was like, oh, they're gonna let him kill it. And I was a little disappointed building up to that moment because I was like, no, this seems like such a great threat. Like, don't just one-shot it or, you know, come back because you were saved. And then to see it, like, still get up after that grand epic hero attack, I was like, okay, this is badass, if not a little worrying. And they managed to make the threat that they were dealing with 10 times worse as they get swallowed by a snake, and an even bigger threat pops up in the form of this like twin-headed water dragon serpent looking creature. And honestly, that has me really excited for the next batch of episodes, which I believe air in January, as this is a split cour season if I'm not mistaken, so the remaining 11 episodes that are being produced I think come out in January, even though I haven't seen it officially confirmed by like the DanMachi Twitter or anything. I think it's just this is gonna happen in that way. But either way, like, this feels completely hopeless, and they somehow made a threat that felt bigger than anything we saw up until this point even bigger of a threat. And it's interesting because you throw our boy literally no help. He's pretty much on death's doorstep as it is. His girl's pretty much on death's doorstep as she is. You're on the lower floors, and there's probably 20 of those red eyes black dragon looking creatures that are probably just peasants in the grand scheme of everything that they might fight during this kind of white hellscape prison that they're in. And it's pretty exciting, if not worrying. What's weird to me though is that people were saying that this episode would end in a bigger cliffhanger than the previous episode, which to me doesn't really feel like that, because here's the thing for me. If you were to end last week as like the season finale or the mid-season finale because we have to wait for the next batch of episodes, having Belle laying dying on the floor there is a way more like holy shit cliffhanger to me than having all the characters about to be killed. Because it'd be different if like they ended this episode with like someone's head getting bit off out of the main crew or something, then yeah, absolutely way worse of a cliffhanger. But to me, this doesn't feel like a holy shit, how am I gonna wait 3 months for more episodes? More of a holy shit, how are they going to defeat this evil that is in this place, that is just every time you think, okay, we finally can deal with the big threat, an even bigger threat pops up. That is, yes, more deadly and more dangerous for sure, but it's not as much of a holy shit, how am I going to survive the wait for the episode? For me, it just gets me more eager to see where they're going to go, not in the way that it feels like a holy shit, a hair pull moment, I can't believe I have to wait for it, like last week would have been if we had to wait 3 months for episode 11 as an example. But I think it did exactly what it needed to. It, in a realistic way, saved our boy because it was a pre-established mechanic in the earlier episodes. It's easy to gloss over given the fact that our mermaid friend isn't always on screen, so it's easy to overlook it. You just know he will survive because he's the main character, as I said in my video. I was just like, I just don't know how to do it, but I know they will. And to see how they realistically healed his arm, got him back on the playing field, did something that realistically felt like he was learning from his previous error. I mean, the whole idea of taking his scarf, which, yes, protected his neck. So on one hand, if he obviously gets hit there again, his head's going to come clean off. But the idea of using it as a shield, he's learning from his mistakes so he doesn't lose another arm in that way, because there's no guaranteed, mermaid friend over here is going to be able to do it again. So to see how he was doing it, the charging of the knife, holy shit, we're building up to a super move here, this is going to work out, and it still gets up. And then to see the snake come in and them get swallowed, like, honestly, they probably would have died there had they not been kind of saved by that snake, it feels like. Yes, on one hand, it really did some damage and a number on them, but at the very least, they got out of it, but then they got put into an even worse situation, so you kind of have to look at it both ways. Would you rather stay and fight this creature on this level, which is probably way better than what you'll have to now face on the lower levels, and honestly, I have no idea how these two will be okay, not to mention his party, which now has to deal with a twin-headed serpent-like beast that, honestly, I thought they did a great job stylizing it. At first, when it was initially coming out of the water, I was like, okay, this is probably going to look like a 3D mess, if I'm being honest. But then quickly, as it, like, I got to see more of the scales, the almost gem-like body of it, I actually thought they did a great job making something so ginormous feel like it blended very seamless with the environment, both with the water, the rocks behind it, the lighting, and the characters looking at it. So I'm actually pretty excited, and I think this is a good reason why I'm glad it is going to be a split-up season, because you know damn well the quality that we've seen in the action this season would not be able to be carried on in a back-to-back cour. The anime production is hell as is, you need some breaks, so I'm glad that something that was able to top the visual holy shit that we've seen already this season. I mean, this thing's like 10 times the size, it feels like, so they're gonna need some time to polish that beast up, because I doubt it's gonna be a 1-2 KO. It's gonna be probably episodes upon episodes, if not the entire goddamn season, potentially to kill that beast, or whatever else decides to top it. But it was exciting, it was satisfying in certain aspects, because when this beast tamer, the slave tamer as he calls it, you know, when he started, like, attaching, like, the rope or the necklace around this creature, I was like, you gotta be shitting me, like, you actually gonna do it? And then to just see him get, like, decapitated and then his body fall. Like, on one hand, it's pretty frightening in the way that, like, how easily it can kill someone, and you're looking at Bell, who just got healed, and he's already getting pretty winded and wounded, but it was very satisfying, because I thought they're gonna let him carry on into the next cour, and I'm glad he doesn't have any control over this beast, or any of the beasts going forward. But now the entire dungeon is kind of just going haywire, so maybe that's even worse than someone controlling it, I don't know. Either way, this was definitely my favorite batch of DanMachi episodes for sure. I mean, the story has been great. I like the idea of the prophecy, because prophecies are always fun, especially when they come true, or even come true even worse than they may have been expecting. Or Cassandra just like constantly being like, holy shit, I thought it was over, or I thought I avoided it, to somehow making it feel even worse than what she was envisioning. Yes, the characters are still alive, but I mean, when you're still alive and you have even more deadly of opponents to now fight, and you're separated or wounded to this degree, it doesn't really feel like you can say, damn, the characters are in a good position. Like, Bell surviving doesn't take away from the shocking cliffhanger of last week. The big shocking thing for me wasn't expecting it. The issue is, even if he gets saved and goes back to full health, how is he going to deal with this creature that can basically negate all of his best attacks? And then they not only do that, they then introduce more threats and give him more threats. And it's like, you need a goddamn army, and we just saw like 20 high-level adventurers get easily killed non-stop. So that's pretty great. I'm glad that they didn't just make him like super OP, solve everything, and we end this season with, you know, them being relatively okay as we wait for the next arc. No. Shit just managed to get even worse, and for me, it feels like the escalation makes sense given what we know about the dungeon, and how quickly the hierarchy kind of got just crumbled because of all this bullshit that was happening, making it so they're all pretty much shit out of luck, and I'm excited, if not worried, to see how they're gonna deal with it in the next batch of episodes. But thoughts, feelings, and theories on where you think it might go from here, leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new around here. Till next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.